Nolan gave back the ship, guys. Nolan gave back the ship. Look at this. I promised you I would check out the Norwegian. Let me see something base for a change, because this is, oh my gosh, Norwegian Football Club. Let me look at some images. All right. So, wow. Norway's team photos for the world. Look at this. Oh, and the shields look pretty good. I mean, not this one. This one does not look good. But this one does. This one looks pretty nice. Man, who's this guy? Look at this guy. I wouldn't mess with this guy. I'm telling you this much. If this guy comes to my shores and is like, I want the silver from your monastery, be like, you know what? You can have it. Have it. Get all the silver you want. Here's the thing, though. I mean, the accuracy of the costumes. Let me see. I appreciate the spirit, though, of being proud of your ancestry. Strange, though, I don't see any Muslims. Where are all the... Did Academia lie to me? Where are all the Viking Muslims? What? Yeah. Well, it's not too bad, because he's wearing a blue mantle, which is nice, because blue was one of the predominant colors. I see orange. So the colors are good. They got the colors good. This shield here, it's covered, as it should be, because when you look at real historical examples of Viking shields, they are either, you never see exposed planks. So it's either it's fully covered front and back in either parchment, or it can be linen, for instance, some other kind of canvases, that kind of stuff. And then the rim around it, even though the metal rims existed, they are expensive, right? Because it requires iron. So in reality, it would have been more common to see rawhide, which is exactly what I see here. And then once you go for the rawhide version, you can either stitch it onto the shield, which is the most common, or you can use nails, which is another option, or you can use clamps. Like, there are 3 ways to do this accurately, and sometimes you can even mix them. This shield looks good, though. The size is good. There are multiple sizes in Viking shields, so this looks good. I mean, I think they're good, nice. Yeah, I mean, but please ditch the freaking the leather jerkins. So I guess it depends. Like, this guy on the left looks nice. This guy, I'm not sure what happened here. And but in general, I mean, I appreciate the spirit. I do. And you were telling me they were going viral. They've got the horns. Yeah, no, cool. I really appreciate the spirit. I'll give him that. That's Norway. Nice. Let me see. You appreciate the effort. Me too. Yeah, it's a cool photo shoot. Even the small conical, well, this one is kind of round. You can have it round or conical for the boss in the center of the shield, which is protecting the hand. I wish I could see the back of the shields to see if they are briefcase gripped as they should be, rather than being strapped. That's how they worked, but it probably is by the looks of it. Norway's team photos for the World Cup look insane. No, they do look good, actually. I mean, anything looks better than Hollywood these days anyways. There are multiple shields like that. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I mean, it looks even better than Vikings, the TV series. I'm going to say 100%. What are people saying about it? Are people mad? People angry about it? The story of Norway's Viking World Cup photo shoot. It's got a bow. So also when they use bows and you see that it has a wrapped handle, that makes it look Victorian. So even with medieval stuff, I'm kind of a little bit in my field here. But even when you look at medieval bows, like the Mary Rose, for instance, heavy poundage war bows, one thing that you can immediately spot that they often do in movies and sometimes in games, and it kind of tends to annoy me, is that when you look at the real deal, that never is wrapping for the handle, or almost never. I'm not going to say never, but almost never. And another thing is that, as you can see, it has 2 colors because of the lamination of the different woods. But before we continue, let's have a word from today's sponsor. Recently, a jury ordered Meta and YouTube to pay millions for their role in designing and promoting addictive platforms. They knew their platforms could contribute to anxiety, depression, and body image issues, but did not share those risks while prioritizing profits. The recent historic verdict underscores the consequences of those decisions. If you or your child spent years growing up on social media and experienced serious mental health struggles, you should hear this. Morgan & Morgan is stepping up to hold these platforms accountable for the harm they caused. You can use the link in my description or scan the QR code to take a short quiz to see if you qualify for a case. You may be entitled to a potential recovery of up to $1,000. Usually when you see that kind of wrapping makes it look, in my opinion, I'm not like an expert on a Fletcher or an expert archer, but in my experience makes it look like a target practice bow of the Victorian period. But nonetheless, this looks great. And look at the ships. They got the bearded axes, which is nice. Sometimes I've seen Vikings in video games wielding axes that are clearly tools, like wood chopping axes with a thicker blade and different geometry of the blade, because of course they're optimized for different reasons, right? Like a war axe will have a thinner blade because all it needs to do, it's not cut through wood, it's trying to cut through human tissue and bone and sinew. And you don't need, of course, I'd like to underline that if you do take a tool axe for wood chopping and you introduce the business end of that axe onto someone, the fruit vendor's head, you'll still win, okay? But for combat optimization, it's better if it's not too top heavy, which is why a thinner blade, it's usually, even a Dane axe, it's massive, but the blade is relatively thin. So Nolan gave back the ship, guys. Nolan gave back the ship. Look at this. The rope looks accurate, all right. I love the wheelbarrow. No, I appreciate this. I think there are a lot of spears. That's another thing. Because whenever we think of Vikings, we either think of the typical Viking sword, the one-handed steel swords that they used, or we think of the axes. And given the axe was quite common, but the swords for the rich ones, like to actually own a sword as a Norse, you would have to have already some success in some situations, raids, or maybe you're a famous bodyguard. Then the Dane axe, absolutely, we know there were entire units that used Dane axes, but the spear is almost never present, even though probably was the most common, particularly in battles, not necessarily during raids, if they were like doing a little raid and then go away, but for battles like the Great Heathen Army, spear would have been the most common weapon that you would have seen. And then the rest. The focus of the World Football will be tied to Manchester City striker Erling, I don't know what that means, but when Norway play at the first World Cup finals since 1998. Wow. Based here. My computer right here is from 1998. I keep it in the corner. Let's see if I can avoid, let's see, it's this one here. Sorry, I'll go full screen. So this, sorry, I misclicked. So I was saying this absolute beauty here, it's a 1998 Windows computer. Well, maybe it's 1999, but it has Windows 98 installed. And I keep it right here in the corner, right next to the main modern computer, because I love using it. I actually enjoy playing all sorts of games like Heroes of Might and Magic 3, Diablo, Age of Empires. As you can see, I've got Blade Runner, which is a fantastic point-and-click game. And so I enjoy having this one right next to me. Great year, all to say. Fantastic year. Still in great shape. Oh yeah, this works perfectly. And it's beige, which to me it's peak. I don't even care. It should have remained the color of technology. With this photo entitled "The Vikings Are Coming." Ooh, one of those things like when you visit Scandinavia, and there is like people happy taking pictures, and then when Scandinavia visits you and you see a horde of Vikings with axes. I love it. Yarrow snubbed the tradition of shooting players on airplane steps. I don't know. Oh, I see. Well, to be fair, it is much better to do that in front of a Viking ship. Instead, the squad headed to one of the country's famed fjords to be snapped head to toe in authentic Viking dress. Authentic, we'll have to discuss about it, but it does look, I mean, yeah. Anyways, it's more authentic than Hollywood, let's put it this way. And I love the shields. Viking dress with weapons and shields to boot. That's phenomenal. I love it. The idea for the epic photograph originated during an international break in 2023 when Yarrow shot Haaland alone in Viking dress waist deep in an Oslo fjord. I love this. I think people should be able to be proud of their origins and their ancestry. And I know that sometimes people like disagree with me on this, and they're like, no, it's stupid to be proud of something you haven't done. I disagree. You're part of it. You were born in it. You're bathed in it. You're the result of it. And a lot of the way we think is due to our roots. So I don't personally think it's a stupid thing to be proud of the history, your people, the achievements of your civilization, and the things that we have done, and the culture that you represent as an, for your ancestors. There is a direct connection, and it's great. And I hate that right now, and even more so at this time in history that we are unfortunately inhabiting, where people that are considered POC, they can be proud of everything. You can be proud of your African heritage and you're celebrated for it. You can be proud of your Asian heritage unless you're Japanese, because for some reasons the Japanese are too white adjacent these days. But otherwise, you can be proud of your ancestry, and we can, like, anyone, any type of people that aren't white. But when you're white, you shouldn't do it. It's problematic. So no, I appreciate this. They're doing a great service for equality, believe it or not, of treatment. You should be proud of not being white in the sense that I'm proud that I lack melanin in my skin, but proud of what it means to be the continuation and the heirs of one of the most influential cultures in history. It is what it is. That's what I think, The underwear isn't historically accurate. You're probably right, but I'm not going to check that. I don't see any gorgeous Viking women, so not interested in checking. Plus, I'm a married man, So I'm more than happy with, yeah. Let's continue. If you had to choose one sports person in the world that doesn't need much hair and makeup to look like a Viking, it's Erling Haaland, Yarrow said. Is he the blonde guy? Is he the blonde guy with the angry face? Let me see. Because I don't know anything, guys. It's not like I watch football. Yeah, it's him. I mean, I'll be honest. This dude looks awesome. I'll give him that. This mask is really tall. I love the hair. Yeah, no. This guy is awesome. Totally. Absolutely. Cool. Fantastic. 1 second. Let me close the Mary bows. I don't need that. Do you guys agree? I agree. He looks aggressively Viking. Totally, yeah. And so it was easy to shoot with him, totally. It wasn't the first time that Yarrow has looked to history for inspiration. Before Team Europe teed off at Bethpage Black in September, he photographed the defending Ryder Cup champions in front of the Manhattan Bridge dressed in Prohibition-era suits and hats. Well, you know what? I think they should do it with everything. Black and white photo. They should do it with everything. I think it would be great. Could you imagine, like, Irish football teams actually dressed in traditional garb? And then you could do it with anything, like Italian football teams dressed in actual authentic Roman armor. Be awesome. And of course, I wouldn't have anything against a Nigerian team dressing their traditional attire, or anyone from Asia. Like, imagine, I don't know if there is Team Mongolia, but they could dress in like Genghis Khan era type of like lamella armor. Goodness gracious, that'd be amazing. I'd love it. Not to mention, it could be an opportunity if you do it right. It could also be educational in a way. I mean, governments should put in a little money for this because it will be educational. Kids will love it. You could have like school trips to show the kids what these historical attires of all these different cultures and histories looked like, and it could become a thing that you put in connection, considering the fact that football is an ancient sport anyways. It's old. It really is. And up to a certain extent, there has to be a certain level of appreciation for connection to the past, because we still use, and in fact the majority of footballers still prefer natural grass. And it is a connection to how football started. It was played in natural meadows and grass land. And so even though sometimes there are some, I guess, stadiums that offer synthetic, and of course we could have used a different time of pavement, what's the word I'm looking for, floor for football players. No, we stuck with it. And I think it's great, not only because it offers a certain caution and it helps with injury prevention. I actually looked into this because I was curious as to why we still have the beautiful grass for the football fields, but it's also a connection to how it all started, and I appreciate connections to the past. I do. I really do. The black and white photo, which featured at the team's headquarters, was a talking point for the golfers as they successfully beat the United States and retained the trophy. They're doing it with golf as well. Sales of the photo have raised more than $1 million for Irish charities. That is beautiful. Great. Yarrow hopes that I'd like to do more charity events. Life gets busy, but it's no excuse. I think once you get any level of exposure on the internet, it's nice to dedicate some streams sometimes to help people in need. And personally, if you have any suggestion, by the way, when it comes to charities you guys like, let me know, because I was thinking about it, because the last charity event I did was the one where we sold, if you remember, my little plushie of the armored guy with the frogmouth helmet plushie, and all money was given to St. Jude's Hospital to help children with cancer in Tennessee. So we did that, and of course I showed a picture, because that's what I showed, a picture of the donation, because of course the sales of the plushie went into my account, and then I had to physically do the donation, and I took a screenshot and I posted it, and I left it as a pinned comment for like months on my X account, just to make sure that people know, not because I want to flex, but because people have a right, because of the stuff that influencers have done with people's trust, particularly when it comes to charity and the scams. I think it's important. It's a matter of transparency. Okay, here's your money, guys. I took it and I gave it. Boom, screenshot. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. So that's the one I'm thinking. It's usually my to-go charity. And I know that some people complain because they're like, yeah, but they still use some of it for doctors, some of it for patients, some of it for families, some of it I understand, but at least I know it's not a fraud, because that's also a terrible, like, I'm always scared with the level of due diligence that you have to do when it comes to some charities. I don't want to risk the idea of, I raised money, I thought it was going to help whatever it is, but then it never reached. At least with that one, I know some of it does reach the children and the families that need it. And I know there was a little bit of a situation whereby they were doing it so that the family don't have to pay for the treatment, which is massive. But then they were complaining about how they were not reimbursing more than one person for the travel if they want to go and visit the child. Like, I get it, but at least it's fine to complain about that, but at least I know it's real. That's why I like that, because it's guaranteed that some of the money is going to go to families that are going through that. 4 months ago, the Norway Football Association contacted him with a proposal, having developed a trusting relation with Jaro in his solo shoot. Haaland, the unofficial voice of the team, was keen to involve the photographer in the World Cup presentation. I think that's great. And he says it was an honor for Jaro to accept the project, which will fundraise for Norwegian charities. Oh, it's wonderful. No, 100%. I think this is a very beautiful initiative for a plethora, in fact, a veritable cornucopia of reasons, and I really appreciate it. I think more things like this should be done. It's also a good way to support appreciation of history and heritage. 100%. That's cool. Looks great. I like the little pier, the docks of the pier, the little... Love that. All right, good news then. If you appreciate my content so far and wish to help ensure my ability to continue to tell it how it is, regardless of any possible backlash, please support this channel on Patreon. Any support helps me and my team of academics keep the channel strong and gives us the means to fight back against the political rewriting of history. Stand with us, form the wall, defend the truth.